Hello and welcome back to another Classic WoW video. So today we will talk about Classic WoW Hardcore and the best leveling strategy in my opinion. But before that, let's talk about what Classic WoW Hardcore actually is. Hardcore is a community challenge put out by Cargos, a really popular Classic WoW YouTuber. Hardcore is a leveling challenge where you try to make it as far as possible, but you only have one life. If you die, you have to delete your character and try over again. There are a couple of other rules, like you can't use the auction house, you can't use the mailbox, you can't trade with other people, you can do dungeons but only one run of each dungeon, and the entire group has to consist of hardcore challengers, making the dungeon way more difficult, and it also removes the option to spell cleave or melee cleave farm certain dungeons for fast and easy levels. The dungeons also use the meeting stone level range, so for example you cannot bring a level 30 to the Deadmines, so you have to stay within the level range listed on the meeting stones, to eliminate the option of boosting as well. Basically it's a solo PvE challenge with one life, but you can do one run of each dungeon in a full hardcore challenger group pretty much. So for this challenge you have to consider a couple of factors, but the main thing is you want to be as careful as possible. A couple of key notes here is to stay away from caves as much as possible, because you'll have a lot of quests to run as far into the cave as possible, and once you're all the way inside, mobs at the start of the cave might start to respawn, and mobs can even respawn on top of you. There's also a lot of mobs close together, and basically caves are a death trap in this challenge. You'll also want to take advantage of professions in this challenge, which I'll talk more about later in this video. So for this challenge I have chosen a Warlock, because you have kiting options, you can fully dot a target and run and slowly kill it over time. You also have a tanking pet or a demon, aka the Void Walker. You can fear targets if you need to for survival. You have a health stone, you have some self buffs and self healing options as well, and I just think it's a very strong class for this challenge. I was considering playing Hunter, but you have to consider you can't buy weapons, and especially as Alliance the bow progression for Hunters is really bad, and worst case scenario you will be using your level 11 bow until late 20s, so I went with the Warlock because I feel they're slightly less gear dependent when it comes to dealing damage. I have also chosen to make a tier list based on the amount of damage the class can do, self-healing options, gearing ability when playing solo, how gear dependent the classes really are, escaping options like dash, sprint or blink to get out of dangerous scenarios, and all of that stuff. Basically I've made a list of classes ranked from best to worst on how good I think they are for this challenge. So here's the list. Hunter, Warlock, Druid, Mage, Shaman, Priest, Paladin, Rogue, Warrior. You'll see I put two classes with pets or demons first because they do have a distinct advantage. After that you have hybrid classes or classes with self-healing options, plus mages because I think they have so many abilities to help them, like slows, freeze, polymorph, teleports, many clever abilities there. Last we have Rogue and Warrior, which I do believe will be the two absolute worst classes for this challenge. Not impossible, but definitely challenging. Let me know in the comments which class you will be playing and why, and let me know if your tier list looks different than mine. So for the hardcore leveling strategy I have developed, it's fairly easy but also a bit complex. It does also favor cloth users, but you can use the same strategy tailored towards your class as well. So first off, you level to level 5 or just get out of your starting area. Then you run towards your main city and pick up professions. You'll want to pick up herbalism and alchemy, then first aid. You will then go out and quest again and pick up as many herbs as possible on your journey, and if you're a cloth user, save all of the linen cloth you obtain, unless you absolutely have to make a couple of bandages, as you'll need these cloth in a little bit. Try to save up 80 linen cloth, try to make as few healing potions as possible, as you'll need to remake them later to reskill up alchemy. Pretty much the plan here is to farm herbs and cloth until you have 80 linen cloth, then you abandon alchemy, you pick up tailoring, you level tailoring, craft yourself some gear plus some extra green items that you can disenchant later, then you abandon tailoring, you pick up enchanting, you level enchanting to level 10 by enchanting stuff or disenchanting stuff. Then craft yourself a lesser magic wand before abandoning enchanting and picking up alchemy again. It's a somewhat difficult and time-consuming process, but if you're a cloth user, it really is worth it to get that lesser magic wand as early as possible. If you're not a cloth user, it is actually easier. I would still pick up herbalism and alchemy, but I will only farm as many herbs as I need to, in order to make enough healing potions and maybe armor potions as I need, before abandoning both herbalism and alchemy, and picking up skinning plus leatherworking if I'm a leather class, or mining plus blacksmithing if I'm a male class. At that point, I would probably keep those professions until I have crafted myself some pretty decent gear. Try to get between 75 to 100 skill in both those professions, fully deck yourself out in green items and then abandon those professions, and pick up herbalism and alchemy again. Alternatively, you can abandon mining plus blacksmithing or skinning plus leatherworking once you run out of potions and you need to make new potions. The good thing about this is that you can spend all of your linen cloth on first aid from the get-go, so you'll always have bandages on hand in case you need healing. At this point, once you have repicked up herbalism and alchemy, the path to level 60 is pretty easy in theory, but it's up to you to actually do what's needed to get there. A few key notes here: stay away from caves if possible, or at least don't do anything stupid and stay safe. Never pull more than 2 mobs unless you're an AoE grinding mage, which I also do not recommend. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. If you ever feel tired or you're not 100% focused, stop playing. It's better to be safe than sorry. Always try to stay at least 1 level above the recommended level for whatever quest you're doing. Be aware of which tools you can use in which scenarios, and always be prepared for the worst. Realize how and when to use Hearthstone, and even use it as a getaway card if you have to. The only rule is that as a paladin you cannot Bubble Hearth, since that is such a strong mechanic, but nothing has been said against mages using Frost Nova then Hearthstone, so go ahead. Always pick survival talents first. You're playing to survive, not to deal the most DPS possible. Survival beats everything. Use professions cleverly. As stated earlier in this video, you can skill up professions to craft items, then drop the profession to pick up another one, but also pick up first aid and maybe even fishing and cooking. This hardcore challenge has really started to pick up lately, and there's a Classic WoW hardcore Discord with several thousand members in it. There's dedicated servers for both Horde and Alliance in every region that is pinned in that Discord server, so it's easier for people to find other hardcore challengers to interact with, and it truly is a great community. And it really helps to make the game more fun and more challenging, which I truly do love. As a hardcore character, it is also important that you search up weapon progression for your character or your class, or important gear pieces in general. For melee classes, the weapon is really important, and you should know exactly when and where you get your next big weapon upgrade, so you can chase that. As a hunter, you always want to know where you can get your next bow or gun, and as a caster, you always want to have a good wand available, so you can pull decent DPS, without spending too much mana. I will leave links to a couple of valuable resources in the description of this video, as well as a link to Cargo's Hardcore WoW Discord server, where you can also ask any questions you might have, but your 2 most important assets will be Wowhead and ClassicWow.live, as they are perfect search engines to use for Classic WoW in general. You can even use add-ons or leveling guides to help you on your journey. There are a lot of good leveling guides out there that will tell you what to do, when to do it, and where to go and when to go there. If you want to follow me on my journey through this hardcore challenge, make sure you follow me on Twitch, as I will stream the entire journey over there, as well as I stream it on YouTube as well. However, the VODs on YouTube do get privated due to music copyright claims blocking the videos worldwide, so to rewatch VODs, watch it on Twitch. My Twitch channel is linked in the description below, and every follow over there is greatly appreciated. If you do attempt this challenge yourself, make sure you let me know in the comments down below which character you're planning on doing it on, and keep me updated on how far you make it. I might even make a hardcore text channel in my Discord server so we can discuss some hardcore stuff over there as well. You can join my Discord server through a link in the description below. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.